It's the Infinite Podcast. Go tell your friends. It's the Infinite Podcast. My God, it never ends. It's the Infinite Podcast with Rob and Court the Kid.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite Podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom. From movies, comics, TV shows, video games, we've got you covered. I'm Rob. I'm here, as always, with Court. Court, it's we're in the summer season.
We are in the summer season. We've been talking about this for months now, that June, in terms of television, was going to be elite, magnanimous, if I may.
Yep.
So I am ready to talk about The Boys.
Yes. Yeah, so we got first 3 episodes of The Boys, which I do like that model. Like, here, we'll give you 3 off rip, and then we'll do a weekly bit. I like it. I like the pacing of that, to be honest. Kind of, because, you know, especially with The Boys, it's like these first 3 episodes feel like they're like set the stage for like the rest of the season. So it makes sense that they did what they did. So yeah, I mean, we're going to have, this will probably be a shorter episode this week because there's no news to talk about, really.
There is no news.
Nothing really happened. I mean, we covered a lot of the Blade stuff last week.
Right.
The only update on that is that Mahershala Ali's lawyer is like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, the lawyer said the deal was signed in 2019, and in their professional career, they've never seen anything like this. That this movie hasn't even shot anything, and it's been 5 years.
Man, yeah, that is kind of crazy. And
it's even crazier because, do you remember the panel in 2019 where he walked out and everybody collectively lost their minds? Because I remember first, Kevin Feige goes, 2-time Oscar winner Mahershala Ali, and everybody's like, okay, this is awesome because he's going to be in a movie. Who's he playing? And then he put the Blade hat on, and everybody's like, no way. And everybody collectively lost it, and everybody had the Blade hats on. It was great, and then he gets one line at the end of Eternals where he doesn't show his face, and that's it. Yeah. I mean, if this thing falls apart, it's like one of the biggest it's easily Marvel's biggest failure. I just don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Marvel spinning it as like, no, this is actually a good thing. Like, we're taking our time to like do this.
No, you're not Top Gun Maverick. That doesn't work that way.
So I don't know. I mean, the Blade thing continues to be curiouser and curiouser. But yeah, there's no direction right now. Literally, there's no direction. Right. We don't have a director again.
If I work hard enough, I might direct this movie at this point.
They might just put out an open call for like, do you want to direct a Marvel movie?
That would be the greatest thing I've ever to ever happen in my life.
Then they'll make a movie about that instead of making the Blade movie.
No.
But yeah, I mean, that's it for the news, really. I mean, that was pretty much it. Also, best wishes to Sir Ian McKellen. Mm-hmm. Had a fall at a theater performance, and that, you know, really dinged him up. He's hospitalized, but he's okay now. Keep Ian McKellen safe.
Yes, please.
Shout out to him, though.
Yeah, you see all the interviews, like the master classes he's been doing at like universities and stuff. Those get me going. Like, those get me out of bed and just want to create something. It's awesome every time I listen to him talk about craft and artistic craft.
Yeah, 85 years old, still out there on the stage doing stage acting, which is awesome.
Hopefully we see him in a month.
Yeah, we might. I think that would be cool if he came back as Magneto. But yeah, I mean, Deadpool over $200 million projection.
Yeah.
On pace to be the highest rated the highest earning R-rated movie of all time, which I think Deadpool 1 is, right?
I thought Joker was.
Oh, Joker. Yeah, Joker took it over. That's right. But yeah, I mean, that's not surprising. But so that's fast approaching. We got about a month until Deadpool, so that's exciting. But yeah, like I said, this will be a shorter episode this week because 5 minutes in, and that's the news. We're done. And yeah, so we launch into season 4 of The Boys. There was a lot of kind of like cup moving surrounding the potential. I mean, Eric Kripke has always said this was going to be a 5-season run for the show, and then before this came out, he was like, actually, I don't know if this, and then it was kind of like, gotcha, idiots. It is 5 seasons. He posted the photo of the season 5 script beginning And yeah, so The Boys is going to end after season 5. But before we do season 5, we have to do season 4. So season 4 has come out. It seems to be a little bit mixed compared to past seasons.
It's the lowest rated out of any of the seasons of The Boys, and we believe we know why.
There's partial reasons. I also think, from a critical lens, I guess the only thing I could see to that point is like people just not being too attached to the gimmick anymore. Whereas like season 1, season 2 was like this like shock drop, like, whoa, this thing.
Well, to your point, there was nothing like it when that came out. And
yeah.
Now it's kind of the opposite, where more shows are starting to lean kind of in that direction, where more content itself is starting to become, a little bit more raunchy, for lack of a better term, a little bit more crazy, a little bit more off the rails.
Yeah. And then, so I think that is part of it, because like even myself watching these first 3 episodes, like, there are a couple of like not shock things, but like things that happen that like I feel like if I was watching season 1 or 2, I'd be like, whoa! But then it happens in the season. I'm like, okay, like that makes sense. Like that for that thing to happen, and we'll probably talk about a couple of those things as we go through these first 3 episodes. But yeah, I mean, also there is the political social commentary bit, which has always been there. Since the first episode. Yeah, I mean, it's always the joke, like, wait, is this play about us? It is. I mean, The Boys from the TV show lens, I mean, the comics are obviously a different monster. The TV show draws heavily from modern events, and the season's no different. And, I mean, maybe it does lean into it a little bit more than past seasons, but I mean, it's always been there. Like
if there was a show to do it, it's The Boys. If there was a show to take a crack at any real world events, it would be this one.
Yeah, and I mean, it's never been. I don't think it's ever really been particularly subtle.
Not to my knowledge. It's just where the perspective was laid, and then these events that happened in the real world didn't happen by the time the show was coming out as well too.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that this season draws on is it does feel very relevant, and it does feel very kind of funny enough. It's kind of like how Law and Order operates, where like headline to screen basically is kind of what this season of The Boys has been so far, in terms of Homelander being on a trial and there being 2 divisive factions like for said trial, and the outbursting and the rioting, like it's all very topical. And I think it's because that stuff is covered so heavily that people go to stuff like this to kind of not turn their brains off. Funny enough, we'll get to that as well, but also just I think it can be kind of uncomfortable for people sometimes when they are part of one faction or the other, and they go to watch this show and their faction is depicted in a certain manner, and they don't like that. Like they don't like being confronted with the perceived reality of their side. Right.
But like you said, is this play about us? It always has been. It always has been about us. This show has never, ever even indicated that it wasn't at any given moment.
Yeah, I think a lot of people took, especially from the early seasons with Madeline Stillwell and kind of like the Vought side of things, they kind of took it as like The Boys being this like anti-capitalist kind of thing. And there's elements of that, of course, but I mean, most of what is targeted in this show is kind of like the hyper right leaning stuff.
Right.
That's always been the target. That is the.
I will say too, I think the earlier seasons were very left leaning to that same point. I think they were very, left against. I can't even say against. It doesn't make sense because this is supposed to be a hyper realistic or hyper realized version of everything. It's supposed to be microcosmic on almost so. I'm just not buying into this is the season where people are just now mad, even though this has been going on for whenever the show came out. What was it, 2018, 2017, when the show came out? This has always been a thing. This isn't new.
And it's not so much, it's weird. I feel like what happened is the reality of real life caught up to the satire. Like the real life version of these people became almost like the version in the show.
Sure.
So, like,
that's actually a solid point.
Whereas, like, in, you know, when the show first came out, it was like, wow, wouldn't it be crazy if this became this? And then it did actually become this, so now it's almost like the show is trying to keep up with the reality.
Right.
Which is, like, it's insane to say, but it's kind of the reality we live in, which is why, you know, things like what Homelander is doing in the beginning of this season feels so kind of in your face, because he's now... the writing of that character has now caught up to the reality instead of it being the other way around. Right. So I think that, like I said, I think it just makes people uncomfortable, and it makes people subconsciously uncomfortable and consciously angry about it.
Sure.
So they want to, you know, obviously be like, oh, the show is woke or whatever. That's, first of all, that's not a thing.
Yeah, that's never existed.
And second of all,
woke
like,
is the tagline when people are too uncomfortable to look in a mirror. That's when woke
exactly,
is usually
like
inserted.
you're being confronted with your own biases and your own problems, and it's being satirized, and you don't like that because, you know, you have a particular view of a particular thing and you feel like you're being made fun of, and that's not fun, but at the same time, like, you kind of deserve it. So yeah, I mean, we can just jump right into this first episode, and what I really like about this first episode is, like, it doesn't mess around in the sense that, like, all right, we're killing Victoria Newman.
And not only that, I love thinking outside world too. Like, we're just starting. We've already done. These are the boys. They're working for the CIA. These are the soups. Soups are bad. All those things. Like,
they're getting back together.
We already we don't need any of that. They're just here, ready to rock. We're on a mission, which I love, especially this late into the show. And like you said, the mission is to kill Victoria Newman. Little tougher than everybody expected, I'll tell you that much.
A little tougher than I expected.
I was not expecting that at all.
And then, you know, hijinks ensue. MM's got a new look. Everyone leave Laz Alonso alone.
Yeah.
He looks great. It did take me a little bit to get used to not having the beard through me. I was like, whoa. Yeah, I mean, everyone quickly, you kind of already quickly see what this new version of the boys is, both with and without Butcher.
Or not even with and without, because he's there for the mission, but taking him out of the driver's seat, that leadership position. You can tell, you know, there was, you know, method to his madness.
Yeah,
all the craziness.
You learned that a lot, throughout these first episodes.
You know, all the things that he'd been through and all the things that, you know, he had put this team through. It worked. Any way you want to slice it, and it's perfect to put that in this universe too. Any way you want to talk about it, it worked. His methods were... They might have been cruel, they might have been borderline insane, but they got results. And, you know, now that MM has this microscope on him as well too, no results are not going to cut it anymore.
And record time in a boys season for a Butcher Homelander face off.
Yeah.
We get right to it. Again, I really like this, that, like, they don't shy away from the fact that these two have crossed swords already multiple times, so we're just doing it again. And it is kind of both between Butcher and Homelander and Huey and Newman both have this, like, you know, relationship where it's like, here we are again. Like, we're doing this again, like, really. And Homelander kind of, he can sense that Butcher's sick, like, he can see it, literally see it, and because Butcher's trying to basically win Ryan back over,
right?
You know, Butcher's conflicted from the end of last season with, you know, Soldier Boy and Ryan almost dying, and, you know, it's where people's criticisms of the show come up, in the sense that, like, how many times are we gonna do this? We're like, we almost got him, and then some circumstance happens and he gets away, and, you know, Homelander actually kind of plays on that.
Yeah, he does. I mean, what Homelander just kind of focusing on is, you know, Ryan needs to start treating the world as they're less than. That's
Homelander's next evolution. Is the, you know, he's getting not a little. It's a lot of Magneto-isms in terms of, like, genetic superiority, but not from the lens of, like, we're oppressed. But the flip side of that, like, we should be the oppressors.
Yeah, we're smarter. We're better. I love it. I don't love him. The arc, I think, is a very interesting path to take for him, and it's such a natural progression. It's that thing in screenwriting where they talk about, you, like, the only thing you're truthfully doing is putting your pen on something or putting your hands on a keyboard. Like, your story should be guiding you. You just need to get things into place to fit them. That's what Homelander's arc feels to a T, of that this makes so much sense of where he's going. This idea that he is now at this point where there's nobody like him in this world, and Ryan's the only one. So even the other soups, I think he knows as well too. There's nobody like us. Well,
Soldier Boy's off the board,
right?
So he
right.
He's gone up against his biggest physical threat.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
and Butcher as well. Like he swung his shot with the 10V, and it didn't work. And now Butcher's on the decline. So Homelander's like, there's nobody left to challenge me.
Right, and it's such.
And he's bored.
Yeah, and that's it. He's, it is lonely at the top. It is extremely lonely, and that's where he is. He's better. He's physically the strongest person on the planet. And he's also, he's smart. He is. That's just the fact of the matter. He's let the schemer scheme. So at this point, he's just... And Ryan's not taking to what he thinks Ryan should at this point too. So it's kind of like he's got to push Ryan along with him the whole time. So he's like, this is boring.
Yeah, and he basically just tells Butcher, like, get lost. Mm-hmm. Essentially, like, we're not... Homelander doesn't even see it as, like, we're not rivals anymore. Like, you're dying, and your 10V didn't work, and I have your son, for all intents and purposes.
Right. And
he's my son, but he's your son.
And it's all these real-world implications that you're talking about as well, too. Like, I killed a man on national television, and nobody... seems to want my head right now. Like,
I'm on trial, but that's
I'm on trial, but I'm still allowed to go to these meetings and these dinners. It's like I'm still running free. Like,
and the result's a foregone conclusion. Like, I'm not going to prison.
Right. So I don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. But Newman, on the other hand, does have something to worry about in the face of acid to the face.
Yeah.
Which, again, like, I did like her dynamic with Huey, and she's like, we're doing this, and Huey's like, surprise, acid in the face, and she's like, what the like, this is a new suit.
Dude, how dare you? And then I also had the same like shock as everybody was like, what do you mean she's invulnerable? Like, that's
not just invulnerable, because then Butcher follows it up with like Plan B,
gunshot,
shoots her in the head,
and then I was just like, I remember I was sitting in my room, I was like, oh shoot, like they did it, like we took Newman out like this, and then she gets right back and she's like, I gotta go. We just won Arkansas. I gotta go.
Yeah, and it's this thing like, she was already a massive threat, and now she's even bigger threat.
Right, and it's smart. It's a smart way to present her too, because it's not only what's funny that I don't think about a lot, that I haven't thought a lot too. She might actually be the biggest threat to Homelander, not only physically, but also the other side of the coin to that too is. Homelander's getting to this place where he doesn't care. Like, none of that actually matters at this point, too. I guess his arc it's a purpose arc. Like, what's my purpose, truthfully? Like, what am I doing? And we find out later that he wants to leave a kingdom for Ryan.
Because he is sort of coming to grips with a little bit of mortality.
Yeah, yep. The hairs are coming out.
As much it's surface level mortality, in the sense that like he's getting older, like he's experiencing like aging.
Yeah, and
he's not like dying. Mm-hmm. It actually, that I'm speaking it out, like it is kind of a great contrast to Butcher in a way. Like Butcher is actually dying, like he actually has 6 months to live, and Homelander feels like he's dying because he has a gray hair or two, and his skin isn't as perfect as it was. Like it's really like a nice dichotomy of what mortality looks like to humans versus the soup, in the sense that like Homelander's panicking. But yes, he is also very bored, and he's just like they have a meeting, a seven meeting, but it's like
the 3.
This is the 3. Black Noir's back.
Yeah, the 4.
Black Noir.
Noir's back.
and I do just like this Noir bit of like they just grab some schmuck and just put him in the costume because they got to keep
somebody that went to Godolkin for performing arts.
They got to keep up appearances essentially, and this Noir's he's funny.
Yeah, spoiler alert, the whole theory from the Boys comics, which I thought was going to happen, I thought they took Soldier Boy's DNA and finally cloned Homelander, and then I thought it was going to be more of a shock of Homelander's like, what? I just murdered this guy and he's just back. That doesn't make any sense.
No, he's a stooge.
Yeah, he's just a guy. He's just a guy that went to Godolphin Performing Arts. I need purpose. I need reason. Is he the funniest character on this season so far?
And he is.
That's my favorite bit so far.
And guess what? It is the same actor, just being allowed to speak. Yeah, which I quite liked. I was curious about that too. I was like, is that just Noir's actor, and he's actually being allowed to speak? And it is. Yeah, it's Nathan Mitchell, who actually is in the Noir suit.
Nice.
Has been in the Noir suit for 3 seasons, and they brought him back, and they're just letting him be a character now.
Right.
I'm interested to see though if that manifests in something other than him being comic relief.
Well, I'm assuming because that Noir is just a probably like a recent college kid that just got out. I gotta assume that at some point that Noir dies and then they actually enact the plan. Like the boys actually insert clone of Homelander into the Noir suit, and then Homelander's like, what? How many Noirs could there be? Or is he just this, not naive, but is he this just much, like, numb? Where he's like, I don't care. You could throw me any Noir. It doesn't matter.
Well, you get a little bit of that in this scene where he tells the Deep to pleasure A-Train. And
I love challengers.
And the Deep is about to do it, and Homelander's like...
Sexuality is a spectrum, right, bro?
I like the Deep in this season so far. He's coming into his own as a character, and Homelander is like, Jesus, get up. Like, this is the problem.
Yeah.
Like,
why didn't anybody try to tell me not to do this? Because you guys are all scared and below me.
And they're like, yeah, because every time this has ever happened ever, you just murder people who don't listen to you. So you're giving us mixed messages here, Homelander.
My bad. Sorry, guys.
Because they're trying to recruit. Obviously, they're trying to fill out new members of the Seven. And one particular member of these prospects catches Homelander's attention. That is Sister Sage, one of the new characters on the scene.
The smartest woman alive, Sister Sage.
Smartest person alive.
Smartest person alive, Sister Sage. Let me do my Baron Mordo impression in peace next time.
And yeah, Homelander in civilian outfit.
Yeah, he pulls the Clark Kent.
I don't like it.
What's his name? Joe?
Yeah. I don't like Homelander in civilian gear. It's unsettling.
Does it bother you?
It does bother me. I don't like it.
I think that's the point.
It's very unsettling. He's just
a guy, but he's not. And
he doesn't look normal.
He looks like when the president wears a hat and jeans. That's what this looks like. Put a suit on.
And he visits Sister Sage and he's like, all right, smart person. All right.
No, he says, what's up, sister?
He does say that. She's like,
no.
And Homelander's like, all right, Mrs. Clever Girl. All right, Clever Girl, show us how clever you are. And she basically psychologically deconstructs him.
Yeah, she said, you're getting old.
Suck.
Yeah, you suck. You're getting old. Your prostate's enlarged. He's like, no.
It would never.
It would never.
But yeah, he basically is like.
Well, he asked her, what would you do? What would you do in my spot? How do I rule the earth, basically, for lack of a better term? How do I get everything that I want? And she said, don't truthfully do much. Just get out of the way and let the people do it for you.
Yeah, because
not a bad plan.
They're the ones that are going to build you up into being the god, and then you just have to be the god afterwards. Right. And you kind of have the perfect setup here, pal. You got a perfect mark in the form of Starlight. She's the perfect mark for exactly what you're trying to do.
She invokes Caesar. She invokes Caesar. She invokes the Nazi regime. She said, you need to build this up, but you don't have to do anything. Everybody else will do it for you. You just need to get them to that point. That's all you need.
So he kind of he hires her essentially as a consultant, a Homelander consultant.
Didn't think that was coming.
But I mean, he kind of not gets one over on her, but he does kind of get her where he wants her. In the sense,
she's just a little too smart for that.
Yeah, but she also, as we find out in episode 3, she drastically underestimates Homelander's mental instability.
Yeah, I mean, she underestimates his humanness, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's how I took it. That, how human of Homelander to do all these, how emotional of him to do all these things.
Yeah, he reacts irrationally.
And it's funny because she calls it out to him too. Like, are you this petty enough? And then we're gonna find in a later episode when Homelander does something irrational. You might have been right. I am petty enough for all this.
And it rattles her, as we'll see later on. But yeah, we get to the riots, the trial. The trial verdict is about to be read, and this is where Sister Sage enacts her plan.
Todd's back with the best Twitter page ever.
She basically absconds with 3 of Homelander's most staunch supporters, including Todd, and
who his Monica, right? His wife.
Todd's
left.
gone missing. Yeah,
Todd's gone missing. Todd just left.
So she enacts MM.
No. Todd. Well, yes, she kicked Todd out, but she's just like, I want to talk to Todd.
Yeah. So she enacts MM, who works for the CIA. The boys are kind of a CIA black operation, for lack of a better word. Butcher's not involved, but he is. He's not. He is, but he's not.
You're right.
Nobody wants him involved.
Yeah.
But he's just kind of kicking around like a stray dog. And they're like, get lost, Butcher. He's like, I won't. Oi.
That might have been the best impression yet.
Thanks. And yeah, so they get these supporters in there, and Homelander again has A-Train, Deep, and Noir there, and he's like, you 3. Well, he's talking to the fans.
This is such a great play on the. Did you get this? This is such a great play on the Dark Knight scene. We're gonna have tryouts.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna have 3 murders. That's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. He tells them like, you do anything for me, my 3 loyal supporters. He's like, today you're gonna go beyond that. You're gonna become martyrs, and that's when you're like, wait, don't you have to die to be a martyr, right? Isn't that how martyrdom works? So he turns to A-Train and Deep and Noir, and he's like, beat these 3 men to death with these bats, please. And Deep is like, great joke, Homelander. Like, you're doing that thing again where you are, you don't really want us to do that. And he's like, no. Kill them now.
Kill them now.
And they do.
It's not the Jedi. It's not the Seven's way.
It is, though. They've killed heaps of people.
However, there's one of the 3 of them that didn't spill any blood in that room, and that was A-Train. We're gonna flip A-Train.
Again.
How many times has A-Train flipped?
Yeah, I like how this is a big plot point of like, we're gonna flip A-Train. Like,
he's not a swing state.
He's tried to before. Well, every time he's about to flip, he regresses back to the 7. Like, he did it with Starlight's friend.
Right.
When, like, we're gonna get A-Train to flip on Homelander, and then he's like, nah, you idiots.
And then he snitched. It was crazy.
Nah, you idiots. I'm the worst character, remember? Remember when I killed Huey's girlfriend in the pilot?
Right.
I suck. I'm the worst.
Then I got my girlfriend killed.
Yeah.
He sucked.
Well, he killed his girlfriend.
Yeah. He does suck. He's the worst.
He killed that racist, though.
Yeah, Blue Hawk?
Yeah.
Remember that line Blue Hawk gave? He said, guys, now, so what happens if they are black neighborhoods that I'm policing a little bit more? It's just a statistic.
But this is the season that the show got woke. Sure.
Right. Because you were happy that Soldier Boy was running around yelling obscenities, but now you guys are upset.
So yeah, there's a riot because Homelander's not guilty, and then Sister Sage is there, disguised as a Starlight supporter, hits one of the Homelander guys with something. Riot ensues, and A-Train drops the bodies into the square there, and they're like, "Oh my God! Look what these Starlight supporters did! They killed these 3 men."
Starlight shows up.
Yeah, so her grappling with her persona arc.
Yeah, well, she's trying to leave this whole, because all soups are bad. That's kind of like, so I need to get far away from the Starlight, and I need to be Annie.
Look, I don't want to tell her how to live her life, but just be Starlight.
Yeah. Well, Huey basically tells her that in the next episode anyway, so.
Yeah. That's probably fight fire with fire, sister. Like,
sister.
you just gotta kind of just do, like, that was your biggest weapon against Homelander, was when you were Starlight and you were exposing him. Like, just do that. Keep doing that. So she's grappling with that.
Right.
Her friend gets beaten.
Yeah.
Savagely.
Within an inch of her life.
And she's like, all right, that's it. The gloves are coming off.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Homelander's mad at Ryan because Ryan has a conscience. Sorry that Ryan cares about people.
Yeah, Homelander's like, isn't this great?
Yeah, drink your milk. This is awesome. It's father-son hangout time. Look at us.
The milk thing. It's just, I don't like it.
You saw him on Hot Ones, and they gave him like a couple different milks. Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of people that play roles. If I see Anthony Starr on the street, I'm crossing the street. That's all I'll say on that.
I'm telling you, the civilian outfit really rattled me. I didn't like it.
Because, like, I see him in the interviews, and I'm, like, waiting for him to, like...
Snap? I don't like it.
In an Australian way. Oh, they gotta put him in Mad Max.
Oh, he would be so good in Mad Max. Are you kidding me?
An unhinged Australian Anthony Starr in the Wasteland?
Yeah. Yeah, that could work. That could work. Man, that would be tremendous. Huey has a subplot in these first 3 episodes.
Yeah, Simon Pegg's back, but unfortunately he's not really back yet.
Simon Pegg, what a gig for these first 3 episodes. Mm-hmm. He just got paid to just
lay there.
Be in a coma.
Yeah.
Yeah, Huey gets a call from his dad. He doesn't answer it because he's a bad son. And
he's one of the boys.
Yeah, no time for dads when you're in the boys.
That's... true.
He comes to find out that his dad has actually suffered a stroke and is in a coma. And then he gets there and he's like, Mom?
Yeah. Big
Mom?
drop.
He has a mom?
Yeah. Everybody's got a mom.
Everybody's got a mom. Huey and his mom don't get along, though.
Yeah, because she sucks, because she left.
Yeah. But as always with these things...
there's more.
There's always a reason. Butcher is like, oh, man, I'm dying. Ryan hates me. Homelander's still alive.
MM sucks at leading this team.
He's visited by a hallucination of Becca. And she's like, get it together, Butcher. Save Ryan. He's like, oi. I will save Ryan. I'm gonna do it. I'm in. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that is. That's episode
1. Well,
he makes the devil deal with Newman.
Yeah, but
then he locks in.
And reneges it.
Yeah.
And reneges on it at the end.
Then he locks in. And then he's just like, you know what? Here's my butt. Let's go.
They were basically to come to terms with like, hey, you know,
I won't murder everybody in a feat of rage and pop everybody's head if you just delete those Red River files.
Yeah, that Huey has, and Butcher's about to do it.
Yeah, he does. He gets it from Huey. He's like, oi, I love my little bro.
So he sends Newman, deals off Newman.
Mm-hmm.
This is, and it should be noted that Newman's running mate, the president, is actively the one who's actively trying to kill her.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to backfire at all on him at any point.
Well, she doesn't know that he knows, right? That's the That's how I think it goes.
She's going to find out.
Right.
And she's going to kill him.
Because she's too good at this.
The president's going to end up a dead man by the end of the season.
Right.
I'm almost certain that's how that's going to go.
We get to episode 2, best opening of this entire show because
God.
I'm going to dub this as the Project Infinite metal storm in the room. They pull a metal storm.
They do pull a metal storm. Easily.
Character actor Will Ferrell steps out of the car.
Oh my God.
I let out the biggest laugh.
I couldn't believe it. I had no clue. Did we know he was in this?
No, absolutely not.
Okay,
absolutely
good. Because I thought I missed something where like he was cast or like, or like they announced it like he was going to be in the show. Because I was just like, I was floored.
Right. Well, the whole thing, I think they even said this is supposed to be a Blind Side parody. And they even joke about it in the episode. They were like... Was I too bullock? He said, "You guys smell that? I smell Oscar." He
was the best. He was his best Will Ferrell in this little bit. Like it's just it's one of those things that reminds you of like how good of a comedy actor he is because it was just I laughed. I don't think I laughed at anything harder in these first 3 episodes.
It was so unexpected. I'm like, is that Will? Why is Will Ferrell here?
Then the Will Ferrell thing. Like it was just. I couldn't believe it.
And, I mean, one of the funniest things, too... Not funniest, but it's going to play, but, just how over it that A-Train is at this point. Like, A-Train's, like biblically over it by this point.
Yep.
How many more of these movies do I have to do where I have to sell drugs?
Or,
He said, I never did this. He said, this is not a thing that I did.
And I mean, moreover, like the personification of his brother in these things that he just doesn't like.
Yeah, because his brother is just a drug dealer in this show. And
when in reality, like, his brother was
was Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, yeah.
He's the trainer that made sure he was good.
Yeah, so A-Train keeps getting pushed further and further, you know, he's becoming disillusioned with his superhero life. Finally!
Right.
Noir's there. Noir's like, hey man, that was pretty crazy what we had to do back there. And A-Train's like, shut up, Noir. I do like that running gag of like everyone just saying like, Noir's big thing is he doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
Shut up, Noir.
Shut up, Noir.
Meanwhile, back at the hospital, Huey's mom sucks.
Or does she?
It's not that simple.
It's not that simple, but also it is.
It is pretty simple.
It is pretty simple.
Just don't leave.
Just don't leave or reach out.
Yeah.
She was like, I was compartmentalizing my own depression. Like,
that's your baby, though.
Yeah,
So.
you're ruining your son potentially for life.
And she said literally, I was gonna reach out, but I just you could have said something.
Yeah. Oh man, it's
Jack Quaid gets to do a little acting too.
he does get to do a little acting, which I appreciate. How do these subplots work for you? Just overall in this show.
I mean, looking big picture, I mean, we're talking. I just think this early into the season, you're obviously laying groundwork because you have Frenchies with Colin. That's a bigger one because it's kind of the love triangle between him, Colin, and Kimiko. You have Huey and is dealing with his dad. But what's the third one that we have? Noir's performance? I'm kidding. But yeah, I don't know if you put too much effort into this Frenchie one, like, but also, you know, thinking like, the show's structured differently than a show like The Bear, because like when I think about The Bear, they take episodes to do the thing, but it's one episode that digs deep into the thing. So I probably would have preferred that than we try to inch these things in, and then because this season is a big boom of a season. Like this season, you're gonna have to take one of the heavier swings, especially of what you did in season 3 and how popular this show is already popular. Season 3 like really kicked the absolute door down. So to worry about stuff like this at this point, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, and I just think historically in this show, like the more subplotty elements often aren't as interesting, and I don't know if that's due to the just not giving enough time for the stories to cook as much, because like Frenchie had like a little subplot last season and I didn't find it like particularly like effective or like moving for like the character.
Right.
Like he just shows up, has like his like drug addled subplot and then with his like offshoot group and then he like returns to the mean and like nothing gets accomplished, and like I'm worried that that's gonna happen again with him,
right?
Because that's where it seems like it's going. Like he has the deep dark secret that he murdered Colin's family, but like I don't know what the result of that is going to be for like the overarching plot, because like none of those subplots, particularly for his character, have like come to roost for the main plot yet.
Right. And I thought season 3 was going to be the one to do it.
So
I thought that was the one where something was going to happen in the grand scheme, because in the comics I know it does with I think Frenchie's, whoever the woman that Frenchie's talking to, has to do with the whole White House sequence. No. It's the, don't they kill all the Russian soups or something like that? Whatever happens, but it has a big implication on the overall thing. So I just don't know at this point if this is, you know, if we should be truthfully focused on that at this point.
Yeah,
it's cool for Kimiko and Frenchie's relationship. That's what I appreciate.
Yeah, I just at what point like is it like kind of like driving the car up the hill and then just it falls back down and then you drive it back up the hill? Like it almost feels like that they can't keep them all together at all times, so they have to like do these little subplots and that ultimately like don't have any overall effect on the narrative. And you know, maybe this season's different. Maybe this will tie in a little bit more. It seems to be, at least from Kimiko's perspective, seems to be tying in a little bit more, especially with like the child slavery thing and you know how she grew up and she confronts that a little bit, which I liked. So hopefully that comes to pass. But yeah, so they have their subplot going on.
We just got to be careful because there's only 2 seasons of this show left.
Yeah, that's true too, and we don't really know. I mean, it feels like the Butcher stuff has to get resolved this season because they literally gave him a clock.
Well, I think they're going to figure it out. I think they're going to find a way to keep him alive, because I don't think you kill You don't kill Carl Urban before the season's over, before the series is over, in my opinion.
No, I don't see how you could. Speaking of that, he does tell them in this episode that he's dying, and they're just like,
Boy.
and then they kick him out.
Yeah, they're all like, thank God. We all got our subplots to do, so we gotta go, man.
They kick him out of the boys after he tells them he's dying. little cruel of the boys to do. That's kind of messed up. And he's just like, all right, if this is what you want.
This show needs a Robin. So Brian's gonna be Homelander's Robin.
My two favorite characters return in this episode.
The pitch guys?
Yeah.
They're like an SNL skit come to the boys. It's awesome.
The uncannily not quite Dave Chappelle character. Where I spent season 1 of the boys going, is that Dave Chappelle?
I personally knew it wasn't Dave Chappelle for everybody listening. Because I don't want to get canceled.
I was like, wait a second. But yeah, I love these two guys. They're like, look at this. Ryan, look at him.
Oh, what they call him? Homeboy? Name needs a little work, in my opinion.
And everyone's like, this is great. It's awesome. And Sister Sage is there like, this sucks. What are you doing? Like, anytime, like, you gotta have the chosen one character, like, be isolated from everything in his life.
Right.
Like, he has to, like, come from nothing and become someone. Like, he can't just be Homelander Jr. or whatever. And they're like, but we like Homelander Jr. And she's like, no, you don't. No, you don't want that. And Homelander's like, don't tell me what to do, Sister Sage. And she's like, that's exactly what you brought me here for. Like, do you want this plan to happen or not? Anyways, I gotta go keep furthering the plot.
Yeah. My favorite bit from this episode was you know how in like recent years the uptick in like us watching behind the scenes fight choreography?
Yes.
I freaking love that so much.
Yeah, at Ryan's his training session.
Yeah. Ryan's like, so this isn't a real save? No, idiot. It's not. It's never been. Have all the saves been fake? Always were.
And also, but I mean, to be honest, like, I really like that look behind the camera, because when you get to A-Train's scene later, with his brother and the nephews, that is directly confronted the fact that, like, it's all staged and it's all fake. So the Ryan scene set up now sets up for the A-Train scene later, and sets up for the Ryan scene later. Right. Also, which I really like. I do like the stunt coordinator guy. He was cool.
Yeah. Shout out to him.
Shout out him. Grand opening, grand closing for that character.
Promptly murdered. We'll get there.
So we are. Who are we tracking?
Oh well, now we get to the boys. We get to the incel place. We get to the. Sorry, those of the show that that didn't know this was real.
Yeah, we get to the CPAC conference.
Right.
For lack of a better word, because the boys are tracking Sister Sage. Butcher is also tracking Sister Sage by himself, because they zone in on her, because they isolate her from the camera footage with Todd, and they're like, she used to be, pretty well known, like as a soup, but she had a falling out with Vought and just kind of like became a hermit essentially. Right. But now she's back. Why is she back? And why is she at this place?
Nobody looks like her in this place. What are you doing here?
So we get to Conspiracy Central. All your favorite conspiracies are there.
Really, truthfully.
The Flat Earthers are there. The
Holocaust never happeners were there.
Yep, the Holocaust deniers are there. The Hollywood is a big pedophile cabal.
Right.
Conspiracies are there.
They pull off a lot of them in there.
Tom Hanks gets name dropped.
Yeah, he does.
I didn't like.
And Oprah. Tom Hanks and Oprah.
You can name drop Oprah. Don't name drop Tom Hanks.
Let him play what's her name's dad in The Last of Us.
Abby?
Yeah, let her play Abby's dad.
But we do this all to set up our second new main character this season, Firecracker. Everyone's favorite. For reasons. There were a lot of icon fixers on the internet.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not great. I don't like it. I don't like it.
You can't fix her.
Yeah, you can't. She's too far gone.
Both of these characters are original characters, right? Sister Sage and Firecracker?
I believe so, yes.
Good inserts. I like both the actors too. I couldn't recognize where I recognized Firecracker's actor from. Same. And then I was like, wait, she was in Detroit Become Human. Yep. She was the android Kara. So I was like, wait, I think she's fabulous.
Oh, she might be one of the. I think she might be the best insert into this show. And they give her an actual backstory that I actually was like.
I was really surprised by that.
Yeah, and I was like, obviously, you're still a horrible person, but bullying is bad, Starlight.
Yeah, I really like that.
You don't remember me, do you? Is that one of the best tropes that always works?
Yeah, it always hits every time. So yeah, her powers, she's essentially Jubilee.
Right. She's still super strong, super fast, but
She's got, you gonna kill me with the 4th of July?
not bad. Jubilee's like, not bad.
So she's doing a big speech. Not a big speech, but she's like a renowned... She's Alex Jones.
Yeah, right.
She's Alex Jones with a skin-tight outfit.
Right.
Talking about...
These boots were made for walking.
Yep. Talking about all those... You know the conspiracies, the conspiracies that are out there.
Yeah.
And you come to find out she doesn't, much like these kind of like alt-right grifters.
Yeah.
She doesn't necessarily believe it.
Well, Sister Sage gives her the quickest job interview in history. She says, "What do you do? What's your power?" And she does it, the fireworks, and she's just like, "That's it." She's like, "I'm strong." She's like, "That's it." And she's just like, "What are you selling?" And she's just like, "I'm selling the truth." She said, "No. What are you actually selling?"
I like this scene,
and
actually.
this is where she lets the veil down a little bit. She says, I'm selling purpose. These people are nothing. Like, they think they have nothing. They're coming from these, backwater towns out of these places. Like, I'm giving them reason to be. And that's one of the most dangerous things. And Sister Sage, the schemers are scheming,
Yeah, she's like, exactly.
Like, this is exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, like she needs a way to mobilize these maniacs.
Right, I forget who says it, that says when Firecracker gets into the 7, like, is this not too much? And Sister Sage's like, no, this is exactly what you need. This is too much. That's the point. She is too much.
Well, yeah, I mean, from Vaught's perspective, It's too much, but Sister Sage's machinations go beyond Vaught, and how can we become gods?
Right.
And it's literally by giving this person a platform to mobilize maniacs.
Right. Which comes to fruition later this episode, I believe, or it's the next episode. Yes, it's the next episode, yes.
Well, because this episode we get this really uncomfortable...
There it is. Yeah, you got one. If they did this in season 2, I would have not been able to function.
So Firecracker has a kind of manager?
I wouldn't even say manager. It's just like...
A guy?
Yeah.
That's around? Guys?
Yeah. He's multiple
man. He is multiple man.
Multiple freak, if I may.
Brought in, obviously... Eric Kirky, showrunner of Supernatural, well familiar with his actor. He plays God in Supernatural.
Yep.
He's collecting the Supernatural Infinity Stones.
Right.
Because we haven't even talked about Jeffrey D. Morgan yet as the mysterious CIA guy.
I think they're going to do something with him crazy. I think they're going to pull something off for him.
Do you have a theory? Or no?
Not anything I can legitimize at this point, but you don't throw Jeffrey Dean Morgan in here at this point. Like, this late into the show and just have him be somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, 100%, yeah. But yeah, we're collecting the Supernatural Infinity Stones.
Should I say what Amazon Prime put during the grossest scene in this whole show?
Yes.
Actor Rob Benedict wants to remind everybody that he studied Shakespeare at Northwestern University. There is no contractual obligation for us to carry out this request. This merely is a kind gesture, which I think is the funniest thing in the world.
That is pretty
he's
good.
Doing something very unholy.
It's a human centipede situation.
With himself. Gross.
Looking at a picture of Firecracker.
Not great.
No, I didn't like it. I didn't like it, not even in a way of like, oh, this unsettles me, I don't like it. In a way of just like, I just didn't need it. I just didn't need it. Like, we already know he's skeevy. Like,
Right.
We could feel that coming off of him. And then we get the naked fight scene.
That lasted way too long.
It lasted way too long. And Firecracker is, we find out that she's moderately strong, but like she's not like...
Yeah, well, she kind of gets sunned as well too, and like Kimiko deals with her promptly, and she like runs away. She's a coward. That's who she is.
Well, they kill Splinter Prime.
Yeah. No, not the Prime. Firecracker, I want you to...
And they all die. They do it's the battle droids. Mm-hmm. Battle droid syndrome.
Yep.
You kill the mothership, they all die. R.I.P. Splinter. I'm glad he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Skeevy little weirdo.
Yeah.
Get him out. Yeah, you're right though. Firecracker flees.
Before that, A-Train. You're not doing a good thing, are you, A-Train? That doesn't seem like you.
Yeah, well, he's first of all. So Huey and Starlight are like, we're going after A-Train. Like, there's only one way those bodies could have gotten downtown, and that was really quickly. Who do we know who's real quick? A-Train, or that other guy that he raced against.
But then A-Train shows up. He's just like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that they find the guys that they said did it. We're going to confirm that they're
I mean, A-Train's, his whole kind of the redeeming part of A-Train's character is kind of like his blackness, for lack of a better word. Like, he's very like, he took that stuff with Blue Hawk really really hard. That's kind of always been his tether, and anytime like Vought ever tried to confront him with that stuff, like he's always kind of, he hasn't outright refused it, but he's resisted it to some extent. And I mean, his brother confronts him about that too. Like, he's talking to his nephews, and then about this big heroic save I did, preventing a theater shooting. And his nephews are like, "Oh, you're so cool, Uncle A-Train," and then his brother pops up and is like,
Uncle A-Train is not cool.
Yeah, you took my nephews like behind my back to like sell them lies. Like, let me tell you about like what your uncle actually does. Like, it's all smoke and mirrors essentially. And A-Train's like, man, I just wanted to have one nice moment with my nephews. And he's like, nope, you can't have that. Remember that time you were complicit in getting me crippled? I'm never gonna let you live that down. And then Starlight wants to go get him. He's like, all right, we got him. Look, he's vulnerable. Let's get him. Because Starlight's fired up.
Yep.
Fired up. She's like, this A-Train was complicit in like getting one of my best friends almost killed. He killed your girlfriend. Remember that, Huey? And Huey's like, yeah, but just let him simmer. Let him have this. Like, we don't need to like ambush him right now. Right. And it comes back to roost. Like, A-Train knew that they were following him, and he was like, look, thank you for not ambushing me in front of my family. So here's the footage that'll clear. And coming back to the point I was making about A-Train, the two people that they pinned this on are black. They're two black guys that they pin these murders on, and A-Train probably felt some responsibility to that also. So he gives them the footage and he's like, here you go. And he was like, why are you doing this?
I have an arc this season. Speaking of fake heroic saves, Ryan, my name is Homeboy. Not a good name. Not a good name.
No, it's not great.
So Ryan gets his first save. Obviously, it's all fake. They have everything dealt with. Obviously, how it's supposed to be played is there's a bank robbery. Coy, who's this random guy that I saw an hour ago? Coy takes a little girl hostage.
Noir and the Deep are like,
no, they got. Oh no! However, are we gonna get to him first? Even though Black Noir has super speed, however, are we gonna get over there before he shoots this little girl? And then Ryan shows up. Ryan's like, I got this, and Homelander's like, no, I got this. Son, throw him, son. Throw him. You can handle it. Murders Coy.
Throws him against the wall.
R.I.P. Coy. Cue the song. In the arms of...
Homelander's like,
forgotten.
Homelander's like, this is great.
Ryan's like, did I just do a murder? Is that what that feels like?
Yeah, and Homelander's like, who cares? Why do you care so much?
They're beneath you. Coy died doing what he loved. Jesus Christ.
I forgot he said that.
He takes Ryan's milkshake away.
Yeah.
You're evil.
Yeah, the worst kind of person.
Anyway, we're still dealing with this Frenchie subplot. We find out that this is where we find out that Frenchie killed Colin.
Killed Colin's parents.
Maybe he'll kill Colin too, since he's such a psychopathic murderer.
Who's hopped up on drugs.
Yep.
Consistently. Butcher and MM come to terms during this firecracker bit.
Well, it's a great end to the episode too. Did we get that little bit right there too?
The boys are back in town?
Yep, the boys are back in town. And then I love the ending of this episode where Butcher's like, all cards on the table. He said, MM, listen, You're not tough enough for this.
You're not him.
You're not him. They didn't, he didn't name the boys. I named the boys. But no, seriously, he tells MM, he said, listen, on an emotional level, I need Ryan back. Like, I need your help to get him back because you're good at what you do. But dude, you can't lead. You can't lead them. You're too
soft.
It's funny, like, for MM, because he's physically the biggest one out of all of them, but, like, you're too soft. Like, you can't...
Well, the firecracker situation is really what made Butcher realize this.
Right.
Butcher...
Right, yep.
He's like, you led them into a trap.
Yep.
Because you didn't want to do what needed to be done,
right.
First of all.
Yep.
Second of all...
I was the only sacrifice that needed to be made to take out somebody, and you saved me, which shows how soft you are.
Which jeopardized everybody else.
Right. Like, dude, you need to be tough to do this. Like, this is the job. And MM said,
Oi.
No,
didn't.
MM didn't say that. MM's brother.
So Butcher's back. He's back in the he's back in town.
I love what MM's like, no, I am the leader of this team now. Sorry that you're dying. I'll see you later. You had your chance. We've been through this. And and I followed you all these times for nothing.
Yeah, where are we? Homelander's still alive.
Yeah.
Guy. Which sets up episode 3, basically. And here they are, the 7. They're back.
The 6. Because he's saving that last seat warm for Ryan. I'm just Ryan. Anyway.
So Sage and Firecracker formally introduces a member of the 7. Sage is like, what the hell?
I didn't ask for this.
And it's kind of, who is it? Ashley says it to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Homelander, like, he did this to get back at you.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't think, like, he was gonna be petty. Like, this is his version of being petty.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of calls Homelander out on that, and he's like, look, if you're gonna do this, it's better for you to do it in, like, the public light.
Right.
Instead of, like...
You know what's funny? It's almost like you need a secret identity.
Yes, exactly. It's exactly what it is. Her superheroing is her secret identity for, like, her actual things.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So, we're going to get Ryan back.
Right. We're going to drug him, because Jeffrey Dean Morgan's in this show.
Yeah, because nothing says we need to earn the trust of Ryan, like drugging him and kidnapping him.
Right. Super strong individual like Ryan.
Yeah, I'm sure that's really not going to... it's really not going to drive him away from you, Butcher.
Right.
Luckily, Butcher does kind of learn this as the episode goes on.
We get a Chekhov's gun, because, a question is asked in the beginning of the show where, Butcher asked Joe, like, dude, would you send your boys into war to die? Because now what's going on is, there's 2 options for Ryan. We take Ryan, A, murder him, or B, lobotomize him to the point where he's no longer a threat. Or, you want to take Homelander out? Newman's not going to help. Newman's, working with Ryan's our best chance to take Homelander out. And, I think there's a line that gets thrown out that Ryan's the first natural-born soup. Like, he might end up being stronger than Homelander ever was because he's natural. He's not an artificially made soup. So, Jeffrey Dean Morgan's like, unfortunately, Butcher, like, he's got 2 options. So, you pick which one you want. Like, and then Butcher asks, like, would you train your sons up? And the question doesn't get answered until the end of the episode.
Yep. Yeah. A-Train, we're back. A-Train's, I have an arc this season.
Mm-hmm.
MM confronts A-Train, and he's like, hey, man. And A-Train's like, what? Have we ever shared screen time together? This is weird, isn't it? And MM's like, I know a man who's about to crack, and you're about to crack. And A-Train's like, you don't know nothing, MM.
This is a better movie than the Will Ferrell movie that was at the beginning of.
He's like, I do though. And A-Train accepts.
Well, he tells him, he's like, you don't know anything about me. He said, you know how I know everything about you? You're still standing in front of me. You could have been gone a while ago. You're still standing here.
I watched the first 3 seasons.
Right.
You have reservations.
We get a really cool The Suicide Squad fight sequence where Frenchie's tripping balls and Kimiko's murdering heaps of people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, the weird Frenchie Kimiko subplot. Mm-hmm. Where they're, like, working out. She's, like, basically encouraging him to, like, have sex with Colin. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I killed his family.
He didn't say that yet.
He didn't say that, but he's thinking it.
Well, he's basically telling Kimiko, can you, like, get out of my face? Like, we're nothing. We are not anything.
Yeah, that wasn't nice.
Yeah, and Kimiko's like, ugh, I still love you.
Ashley gets replaced.
Yeah. See you later, Ashley. I got a sister now.
Look, in a vacuum, all the stuff that's happening at Vought, I'm kind of okay with. The stuff that they're doing at work, I can't say I haven't wanted to do these things. I'm just saying. When Homelander's like, I gotta carry this whole company on my back, I was like, you know what? Everything outside of work, we're down on. We're not in on that.
What happens is basically after the whole, new members of the Seven reveal. Remember that one tech lady from the earlier seasons of The Boys, that new Starlight?
Yeah.
Well, basically, they know there's a mole, and because obviously Sister Sage is the smartest person on the planet, so she knew there was a mole.
Yeah.
She knew somebody leaked the location of those two individuals.
And the Deep was in charge of the...
Why the Deep is in charge of the IT department, who knows? I love that this is the way they branch their company. Like, they don't have actual executives, and the soups are just the faces.
Well, that was when Homelander quasi took over Vought,
right? And
he just put all of the members of the Seven in charge of different stuff.
It's the funniest thing on paper. It's absolutely hilarious. So they question her, and then right when it's the most Homelander thing to do. They get the first piece of the answer, but she's actually about to reveal that, it was Atrian that came down there and did it, and Homelander murders her.
And that was the bit where like I said, season 1 or 2 would have totally shocked me, but season 4 I was like, oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Of course he did that.
Yep. And then Sister Sage is like, you don't think there was any useful information that she was about to tell us who did it? And he's like, maybe I am that petty. And he just walks out because it's all beneath him now. He doesn't care.
He literally does not care.
I love Ashley's about to quit, and then Ashley's just she just shreds the letter. She's like, I'm never leaving.
Yeah, so she's just gonna stay. Disney gave her a very lucrative offer.
Mm-hmm. Again, she becomes Bob Iger.
She became Bob Iger. But yeah, so she's gonna presume. But I mean, that could be another chess piece that they could use.
Yeah, if the boys get to Ashley, that's a big piece. That's a big play.
Because then they would have A-Train and Ashley.
We have the Firecracker origin story, which I was not expecting to be one of the best parts of the season so far.
Yeah, what was that about? Yeah. That came out of nowhere.
It did, and it worked. It plays.
Yeah, so Starlight...
You don't remember me, do you? You knew me when I was Sparkler. You remember when you were me. Play the Flash theme. Anyway... so she is from one of these no-name backwater towns, and you remember Sparkler, don't you? And she's just like, maybe. She said, oh yeah, you were that hick, right? And she was like, and Starlet's like, I was so immature and stupid, and she's just like, you said the meanest things about me. And now you want to be nice to me? She's like, well, Starlight basically, she breaks in because she's in her old room.
The name's Firecracker, mon ami.
Remember it. So she breaks in and she's just like, why do you actually hate me? You gotta have a reason, right? And she's
like, boy, do I.
Boy, do I. Remember when you bullied me to near suicide when I was a 13-year-old girl?
And you said that the only reason I got where I was is because I was blowing off the judges?
Right.
Remember that? Starlight was like, ooh.
Oh, I did do that. She said, my mom made me do that. Your mom didn't make you do anything, Andy January. You just suck.
So she's like, that's why, anyway. If you must know.
Yeah.
And Starlight's like, people change. And Firecracker's like, people don't change. They are who they are. And, it's a really nice kind of, introspection into, both characters. Where, Firecracker is basically, you are who you are. And I'm sure there's an element of her that she sees herself that way. She feels like maybe she can't change. And she is who she is.
Yeah.
And then there's that, in hindsight, because I think the scene with her and Homelander happens before this, right?
Yes, it does. Yep.
So, in hindsight, it makes that scene a little bit sadder, in a way, where she's, throwing herself at Homelander, and he's just like... another one of these.
Yeah, another.
And he's just not. You can tell he's just not into it. Again, because he's kind of over it. He's kind of over human emotions,
right,
other than anger.
Right.
He had the thing with what's her name?
Madison Stillwell.
Well, yeah, the other one. Stormfront.
Oh yeah, Stormfront.
Like,
that's his true love. He might still love her.
Yeah, he had the thing with Stormfront, but now he's just kind of like over it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like this, beautiful woman is like literally throwing herself.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes back to the episode 1, like the sycophantic thing, where like he doesn't want that.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't want yes people around.
Yes. Somebody confront, challenge me, please.
Yeah. And she's not going to.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that the scene with Annie kind of makes that scene a little bit sadder in hindsight, because that's kind of just how Firecracker sees herself, and you're like, you can do better. Or can she?
Fought on ice. The 7 on ice. You think this is going to be some nice, like...
Queen Maeve is back.
It's not her.
It's not her.
It's Queen Maeve on ice.
She's going to come back, though.
Yes. However, this is one of the boys' plans. What are they trying to do here? What do they want?
Well, they're expecting Newman to be there.
Yes, so they can take another shot at Newman.
Yeah.
Guys, I don't think it's going to... After you shoot her point blank in the head and throw, acid on her...
I think they just want info at this point.
Right.
Because they know Newman's going to be there with Homelander, and they want to plant a bug.
Yeah. Just so they can plant incriminating evidence.
So they send the tallest person in the world into the vents, Jack Quaid.
Yep.
to do the spy bit.
He even makes a joke in this season that he's 6'3". So I don't know if...
And Annie, I think, is like training him in boxing, and she says like, you're 80% limbs. Or
Yeah,
whatever
he's
she
just
says
like,
to him.
sorry, you picked a 6'3" person to do this.
So he's crawling around in the vents. He's got the bug. Homelander's there. All your favorites are there. Homelander's there. Sister Sage is there. Newman's there.
Why can't we say Hit Merry Christmas anymore? I was not expecting that one bit. I thought this... What's the song called? The song's actually called Put the Christ Back in Holidays or something like that.
Yeah.
This is how you know Vought's just... They're far gone. This is...
So they're planning to assassinate President Singer. Because they want... What they're trying to do now at this point is convince Newman to embrace her soup nature.
Yeah, Sister Sage tells her, like, what we're gonna do is we're gonna assassinate the president. We're gonna invoke the 25th Amendment. We're gonna make you the president, and then you're gonna make sure that any soup that goes into the town has jurisdiction over any police department. You're gonna make sure they're back.
You're gonna put them back in the military. Yep. And then the creme de la creme, you're gonna out yourself as a soup. And Newman's like, "Are you nuts? You want to get nuts?" Actually, that's Homelander's bit. You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts.
Teachers that teach critical soup theory.
And Newman's like, no, I can't do that. And Homelander's like, why? Are you ashamed of who you really are?
Yeah. He said, "Look at Daddy Stan still taking the reins on you."
That was a good bit there from him. That was a good jab out of him.
You are bad product.
And then they turn it around on her again, and they're like, "What about Zoe? Like, Zoe's a freak. Like, Zoe's a soup. Like, you're gonna make her hide her true nature." So,
and then the fear hits, and then the fear of this actual show hits because Huey's he's in the fence.
Well, this is the first time you really see Newman on the back foot. About anything.
Well, again, this is. Having Sage in this show changes the entire dynamic. We've never had a character like this before because and it's such a dichotomy to season 3 because of how physical not a villain but physical an antagonist that Soldier Boy was. So to get somebody I don't need any physicality to challenge not just Newman but Homelander himself because that's going to come at some point.
Because all of these characters are so used to their scheming and their plotting working, that they come across this character that sees through it all and can out-scheme them, and it makes them kind of nervous. So, I think Newman for the first time is seeing Sister Sage as like, oh, like she can actually match me intellectually.
Which she's never had to deal with yet. She hasn't had to come into that. She hasn't had to come across this problem. And, the best piece about Sister Sage, it's like putting like a Joker card down. Like, this is something that nobody was prepared for this.
But unfortunately, nobody's also prepared for Homelander's
psychotic tendencies.
Yeah, because Huey can't help. He's sweating. He's sweating bullets up there. He drips down on Homelander's little shoulder pad. Homelander smells it, can sense Huey Campbell.
Yeah, Hugh Campbell.
Laser beams. This is a terrifying sequence.
Oh, it's horrible. Murders Queen Maeve on ice.
The whole crew. The whole 7 crew gets.
MM technically murders her because he throws the lights around and then he misses. And then hits her.
Yeah.
And then the murder.
Homelander's a bad shot?
No. Well, the first one is on MM. That's his fault. I'm bad on that. That's the only one that Homelander kills because everybody's trying to run away from each other and like some guy skates like.
Homelander's still a bad shot. You've had those laser eyes for your whole life.
I guess.
You could hit Huey in a vent. Homelander.
Yeah, and he was close to it. It wasn't like he was like...
World's greatest superhero.
Right.
And then, this surprised me.
Was this like, did you get the same thought, like, that Jesus was the one that killed all the people on accident on ice? Anyway.
This bit surprised me. A-Train rescues Huey.
Yeah, yep.
I was like, whoa! That was like one of the first like legit surprising moments of these first 3 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, he is actually like, maybe he is actually flipping.
Maybe.
Why'd you save me?
Why'd you say that name?
A-Train runs away.
That's actually his best bit.
Running away when confronted with any type of adversity.
Right. No, not even like physical adversity, like just adversity itself. Like self-reflection. He's like...
Anytime he's confronted with the idea that he's doing a good
the
thing.
train theme just goes off, like the train sound.
The idea that he's confronted like with being a good person.
Yeah.
Are you being a good person right now, A-Train? I'm a head out.
Yeah. Anyway, Jack Quaid's mom tries to... Not Meg Ryan. Jack Quaid's in-universe mom tries to give reason why she's not the worst person in the world. I didn't know he hated I didn't know he hated Dennis Quaid. Do you saw what he did for Father's Day?
Yeah, because Dennis Quaid's a right-leaning lunatic.
And that's exactly what the show is against. It's almost like...
It's also what Jack Quaid's against.
Yeah, it's almost like poetry. You know he's not against Victoria Newman in real life. Good job, Jack Quaid.
Yeah, great job out
Good job, Victoria Newman, actress, too, because Jack Quaid's a catch.
He is.
Except for his mom, because his mom... I'm sorry. That was too easy.
Butcher and Ryan. Mm-hmm. So Butcher hops on Mortal Kombat to talk to Ryan, and he's like, "Oi,
it's not Mortal Kombat; it's the 7 Combat."
It's Mortal Kombat. Ryan's like, "My dad says I shouldn't talk to you on the internet or at all." And Butcher's like, "Just come
we're in an Xbox 360 chat. You can talk to anybody you want.
Come to my place and we'll talk. I promise they're."
Dad, I'm going out to meet that guy I met on the internet. Oh man, that would have been the perfect time to have an in-universe. What's the guy's name?
Chris Hansen.
Yeah. Which is just what's his name from Gen V?
Yeah.
What's his name?
The investigative reporter. Yeah.
Right.
I can't remember his name.
Jeez. Tech Knight, who they were considering to be in the 7.
Yes.
Yeah. Tech Knight shows up. Why don't you have a seat, Billy?
Have a seat.
Why don't you put that robe on and have a seat?
Ryan goes. Butcher shows him how to play foosball.
Mm-hmm. Oi.
He's gonna give him the drug laced cookies, but then
it's the one your mom made. Boy. Ryan's like, I don't want it.
It's a great bit. Butcher figures out that maybe appealing to Ryan's humanity is better than drugging and kidnapping him. Mm-hmm. Hear me out. Hear me out, better plan.
Yeah, right.
And they're getting along.
Right.
They're getting along.
Yeah. And then Jeffrey Dean Morgan shows up after Ryan leaves. And he's like, you know I would sacrifice my son if it came down to it, right? Like, I would go to his funeral and I would be sad, but that's the best thing my son can do, so... Yeah.
I thought about what you said all episode.
Yeah. And now, you got one choice now. It's, you give us Ryan. Ryan's gonna defeat Homelander. Thanks, boss. Appreciate it.
The plot thickens. Which is why I think it's just a great idea for these 3 episodes to be released like this, because now, after this 3rd episode, it really feels like the plot is getting going. Mm-hmm. So now this is where you want to make it week to week. Right.
Because now I'm invested. Now I can wait a week and be, once the episode drops, I'm like, oh, I need to see this. Yeah. I need to see it. Then the end.
We get back to Sage's room. Mm-hmm. The Deep shows up.
Mm-hmm. The Deep's like, yo, thanks for the advice, bro.
Because the whole thing was like Sage convincing the Deep that like you're actually
a superior being, so don't let Ashley talk to you any way that she wants.
And he's like, Ashley, you can't talk to me like that. And she's like, get lost.
And he's like, no,
Ashley. I actually won't get lost.
Yeah, I'll get right here.
I'm the Lord of the 7 Seas. Or he gets real serious.
Yeah,
I was like, does. Ooh, serious Deep. Interesting. Interesting character arc for him. But yeah, Sage is not herself.
Mm-hmm. She's watching, like, a reality TV show, which I think was the most beneath thing for something like Sage to do. That was the first immediate red flag. Like,
eating a blooming onion.
Yeah. At first, I thought it was more of like a situation where she just was lying the whole time about being. I just thought it was more a situation. She's just like regular, really smart, not like superhuman, really smart.
Yeah.
And I was just like, she's been lying to everybody.
No, but she's as the smartest person in the world. It is very difficult to shut your brain off. So she has to physically shut her brain off,
Right.
in the form of a temporary lobotomy, which is super sad.
Yeah.
So this is the way that she shuts off access to her, basically her frontal cortex, which is like her reasoning and everything that makes her who she is. She shuts that off to decompress after kind of realizing like Homelander is a maniac. Maybe not realizing the depths to which how much of a maniac he is and how impulsive he is. Like the opposite of kind of like the opposite of what she is, as like this hyper reasonable, always thought out, always calm, cool, and collected. The opposite of that is the irrationality of Homelander. And she's been directly confronted with that. Like, she can drop as many plans as she wants.
It's almost like the Joker Batman thing, where it's like all this.
If they were on the same side, yeah.
Just order, reason, like, no.
Like, she can drop as many plans as she wants, but she can never account for his unpredictability. And I think she realized that in that meeting. Like, he just flew off the handle. Like, they were. I don't know if they were going to convince Newman, but maybe she felt they were on the way to.
Right.
And then Homelander just snapped because Huey Campbell was in the vent and he just lost it and people died and Vought had to cover it up. And it's like 2 steps forward, 5 steps back.
Right.
Because now they lost Newman, presumably.
Right. Ryan shows back up at the house. Homelander pulls a Danny Tanner, turns the seat around.
Where have you been?
Where have you been? DJ, we talked about this. You could talk to me, DJ. I hate you, Dad. But Homelander's not good old Danny Tanner.
He's like, where have you been? And Ryan's like, you've just been out?
You smell like William Butcher.
I like that he calls him William Butcher. I've always liked that bit. Yeah, it's... Oh, and also Sister Sage and the Deep make out.
Yeah. It's a Transformers 2. You want to watch Transformers 2 and get it on?
The one with the racist robots?
Yeah, they actually call it out. It's like they watched the Cosmonaut video before they made this season.
But yeah, so that happened. But yeah, Homelander.
So, I mean, he's losing his mind. He's finally losing his actual mind. His mind is splitting into...
The fake Homelanders come back.
Right, his mind's splitting into different personalities, and they're just like, what do you do when you're lost? You go home. And Homelander's home is not some nice little home in Arkansas or Kansas.
No, it's a terrible home.
Yeah, it's a facility that breeds and, like, enslaved soups.
And then, it sets the stage for episode 4, which Eric Kripke has said that episode 4 might be Anthony Starr's finest performance as Homelander.
What have you done?
Which, if that's true... Oof,
I can't wait.
So I guess, we can end this with so where are we headed?
I mean, to kind of counter our points about the subplots, I mean, that last 20 to 30 minutes of this episode really kind of hones it back into everything too. And I mean, the show is still The Boys. It's still going to be great. It's still prestige television in my opinion. And, one of the things that we haven't really talked about enough, and it's something that you just mentioned that Eric Kripke just said, these performances are just, they're so dialed, they feel real at this point. And I mean, it's spearheaded by Anthony Starr as Homelander.
Yeah, he's continues to be sensational. And I like what you said in the beginning of episode 1 of his the arc, how interesting this arc is for this character. Because I feel like that's the bit that's kind of missing, has been missing from the Homelander character, where he's just been this out and out antagonist this entire time, where this season appears to be giving him at least a little bit of nuance. And for a character as insane as he is, you don't need it. You don't need him to be completely nuanced. You just need a little bit of nuance. You know what I mean? A little bit that just makes you kind of not understand him or attach to him or anything like that, but just make him a little more dimensional.
Right.
And it feels like they are giving him that, especially with this next episode 4, where he's going to return to his roots, which might be the only situation where you would quote unquote root for Homelander, is when he returns to that place, because that place obviously is not great for the people that it's bringing up.
I wonder if they're going to do a little, what movie am I thinking of? Not Miracle on 34th Street. What movie? Am I thinking of that? It's a Wonderful Life. Maybe they do a little I don't know if you could bring, what's his name back? If you could bring, why can't I remember Jensen Ackles' name? But I wonder
Soulja Boy?
Yeah, I wonder if you do a little It's a Wonderful Life situation where it's like,
Well, you don't think Jensen Ackles isn't in the season at all, do you?
he's got to be here, right? You don't rock the earth with your with that performance and from last season, then you just don't put him in this season. And then they literally put him on ice. They physically put him on ice.
Yeah, he's still around.
Yeah.
Like Soulja Boy's still kicking somewhere. I
think that would be a good bit. Like, a younger version of Homelander, as if it was like everything was supposed to happen that way. Like, you find an actress to play his mom, and then it's like Jensen Ackles, Anthony Starr, whoever, they get to play his mom.
Crimson Countess.
No, maybe.
Stormfront. Just kidding.
Whoa! I don't know if I've watched too much Game of Thrones, but I'm in on that. I think that's real interesting. Wasn't that a theory already that Stormfront was his mom?
Yeah. Because Soulja Boy tells the story that he just was with a supermodel, and he just masturbated into a cup, and they used his DNA to create Homelander. But it could be more complicated than that.
That would be such a messed up, but only the boys could pull something like that off.
And it would further fracture Homelander's mind, probably.
Right, that in this Wonderful Life situation, that Stormfront, that's my mom. That's my freaking father!
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Gen V characters next week as well?
Yeah. I mean, I would have to go back and revisit like the trailers to see how much of these first 3 episodes were in those trailers. Feels like a fair bit.
Yeah, it was a decent amount, which might be a good defense of the show as well. To like the first 3 that we got, to your point, the setup episodes, the real train, which is the actual season. So 4 through how many episodes are in the season? 4 through 8. So 5 more episodes after this. Like, it would be kind of cool if all of those episodes were, very much a mystery to everybody as well, too.
Yeah, and like I bring that up just because in the trailer we did see Sam and Kate from Gen V. So we don't know how those two are going to...
I think they're going to fill out the 7. That's what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to be the last 2. Like, imagine, like, the little brother of Golden Boy who was supposed to be the new member of the 7. And then Kate, like, this woman that, despite having her arm blown off, was able to, And, like, they're both, to Vaught's perspective, like, 2 pure faces to put in the 7 as well, too.
Yeah, especially if... I would imagine they would make that call if Ryan... goes off the grid.
Well, I think that's what's going to happen. Ryan's probably going to get taken, like, by the boys. Or
by Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Right. And, they're going to need new members, and it's like, hey, Homelander, like, ooh, maybe they do, like, Sam's your secret son. Like, this is the son you never knew about. Forget about Ryan.
Oh, they just make it up, like, for PR, like a PR thing?
Sam is your long-lost son. Look at him. He's doing great.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. I'm interested to see if Maria is going to show up.
Well, I think I don't know if I said this on here. If I was talking to you, I think Marie's going to be the key to killing Newman. I think that's how they're going to play it.
Yeah, because they already showed them as kind of like a
dyad in the Force.
Yeah, for more or less. Oh, and that's the other thing we had to talk about was Butcher confronting Newman about the virus.
Right. Yep. You got some virus kicking up at Godalkin. Uh-oh.
And it ain't gonna work.
Yeah. Well, they're probably saving that whole thing for season... Well, he says the most important thing is it's not strong enough yet.
Yeah.
So, it'll get there. They need a little bit more time down there. So, why'd you have to kill all those people on that plane, Homelander? Jerk.
Yeah, he's a real jerk. Queen Maeve is bound to show up again. Interested to see how she fits into this.
You still made a great point about Jensen Ackles. Like, I don't think you can't. Like I said, it's even further than the Stormfront thing because, like, his performance in the show is like now like so popular to the show. You would have thought he was in the show for 3 seasons.
I could see a world where, because Grace works with Jeffrey D. Morgan, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I could see a world in which they kind of do to Soulja Boy what the Russians did to him, which I think would be a kind of neat play on his backstory.
And it's like, think about the real world where these characters all come from. Like, he would essentially be Captain America and the Winter Soldier in one character.
Where, like, now it's the Americans that are kind of using him as this weapon. Because, like, say, like, the thing with Ryan falls through, like, their plan B could be, like, a War Machine version of Soldier Boy.
Yeah.
Where, like, he's not inhibited by his humanity. And he's just going out there to either, A, capture or kill Ryan, or capture or kill Homelander.
Right.
Where, like, I could see a world where, like, Jeffrey D. Morgan, like, goes to Butcher and be like, I warned you that
I wanted Ryan. You're not going to give me Ryan, so not only is Ryan going to die, I'm breaking Soldier Boy out of ice, and he'll murder everybody. I don't care. Collateral damage does not matter at this point. Like, there's no collateral damage it's the threat that Homelander made to start, like, how about I go to New York, take out all critical infrastructure, like, I'll wipe New York off the frickin' map. Like, he could do that. That's the best part about this character. It's the true fear of the show. Like, the show, like, that's the horror of the show. It's like, if Homelander really wanted to, he can wipe out everybody on the face of the earth if he really truthfully wanted to.
And he was getting ready to do that before Sister Sage talked him into, like, another way of ruling the planet, essentially, instead of burning it all down. Like, just...
Yeah, like, if the Deep wanted to make one massive tidal wave, like, he can kill millions. Like, if A-Train wanted to, he can kill the whole planet if he wanted to. Like, there's no stop to what can happen. So, I warned you, Butcher. You had your shot.
So, I got to imagine somebody is biting it, right? This season?
100%. That's three seasons plus 3 episodes of no major death. Who's the biggest? Becca is the biggest death. Like,
I would say probably the main character is. I mean, A-Train probably is.
Is it
top, like number one right now?
Is it too easy though to do A-Train?
No, because I think it's easy in the sense that, like, it adds up because, like, this being the season where he maybe kind of finally flips. And that's, like, his comeuppance, like, his penance is he finally flips on Homelander and he's killed.
You kill Ryan, maybe. That's what I was thinking. And then like, to go into a final season, like, Ryan dies. Not only it's like it's gonna be the poetic justice of, like, he killed his mom, so, like, now his life is gone. Like, it'll probably be in a sacrifice, but Ryan will die. Maybe to save Butcher, which is even more of, like, he's already dying. Why would you save him? He's like, because that's my dad. Like, he might have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy. Like, that's my dad. Like, yeah. I'm giving my life to give him one more chance. So Ryan could be an option. Starlight was somebody else I was thinking too.
Oh.
Like, because she's already kind of getting to the end of, like, a completion of an arc. So
yeah.
I feel like it's the point where, like, maybe she goes back as Starlight one last time to do it. Like, one last bit as Starlight killed by Homelander. And then that's where season 5 is just like, remember, and it's going to play off the conversation he had. He's like, I'm okay with being, loved, but fear is right okie dokie okay with me. Like, this is the true fear. Like, Homelander didn't kill some random Starlighter. He killed Starlight, like, on national television. Like, there's no going back at this point.
That's a great call. I like that. I think that would be great. Not great, but I think that would be really, because I feel like funny enough, like, as much as the show does, it doesn't really have that. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have, like, the main character death. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
I think they're waiting for this because, like I said, like, what you probably want to do for season 5 is, like, the season 5 has to be, like, clock, like, it's the doomsday clock. Like, now we're at, like, we have 1 hour left. Like, this is code red. Like, Homelander's about to destroy everybody on this planet that's not a soup. Like, we don't have time left.
And I think it has to be, kind of to, like, the point you made about A-Train. Like, it does. If they are going to do something major like that, it almost does have to be, like, a protagonist. Like, I don't think A-Train would be as effective. It wouldn't. Right. I mean, it wouldn't be nearly as effective as Starlight.
Right.
So I think it would have to be probably, like, one of that main casts of characters.
Right.
And I don't think it would be Butcher. I don't think it'll be Huey.
Yeah. I think Jack Quaid and what am I forgetting? Carl Urban's name. They have to make it into the final episode of the final season, in my opinion. Like, they have to get there because I think that Butcher's just going to take actual Compound V, right, to save his life. Like that's the only thing that makes sense to me, because you don't just kick him out after this, because they're going to do the White House thing. I don't see this show ending any other way than doing the White House scene from the comics. Like there's no other way this show ends. Like that's one of those staples from like, you know how like these movies and shows do the things from the comics, and you're like, if they're doing the arc, the thing has to happen.
Yeah.
Like. This is one of those things where the thing has to happen, in my opinion. Like, you have to do the White House thing. You have to end it on the bang.
Yeah, and even if you don't end it the way that it ends in the comics, which it definitely feels like they're departing from.
They're gonna skew a little bit.
But you can... I mean, but, again, when we talked about The Boys last season, like, the comics are mostly nonsense. Like, if we're being honest.
Do you put Homelander in Season 5... after, the death of the president, do you think they do something where they try to make him the president himself? Like his side?
I can see that.
Try to make him the president. So it's like, if you try to kill Homelander, you're killing the president of the United States. So... I
mean, that is one way to up the ante.
And again, like, backing up my theory of, like, if you're going to kill somebody, Ryan would be a choice. Because, like, again, to the point we're making, like... If Ryan is being propped up as the only person that can be the one to take him out, killing Ryan would be like, again, put the doomsday clock to 11 and once it strikes 12, you're dead. Like, there's physically, like, who do we have? Like,
or if somehow, because they did this, the first episode lays this out, like, what if the end of this season Homelander kills Newman?
Yeah, so it's like...
And you're like,
well, the head pop... Oh, you know how he's got to do it, right? You squeeze her head to death. So
yeah.
It's like... Just like poetry, they rhyme.
When you're like, oh, like, the first episode of the season, like, established her as this, like, invulnerable force, and, like, Homelander kills her, and kind of usurps the U.S. government.
Ooh, imagine Homelander has Marie do it, and it's just like, because he shows up at the end of Gen V, and it's just like, this is my thank you. This is the reason I didn't murder you, because I knew that you can kill her at some point. So
yeah.
I could have easily killed you on that campus that day, but we need you. Where are they? They're in the basement of Godolkin, or are they at Homelander's home?
Oh, I don't know. I guess we might find out next week.
Yeah.
Or this week. We're going to find out this week. Yeah, I mean, I think this season has a lot of interesting threads it can go, and I hope they take a swing. As funny as that is to say about this show, they've taken swings, of course, but I don't think they've taken many narrative swings.
Yeah, it's been more like commentary,
shock factor,
right?
But it hasn't. They haven't taken a lot of narrative swings as far as like major character alterations.
What's the biggest swing they've taken? That Soldier Boy is Homelander's son. Is that the biggest swing they've taken? I
think the culmination of all the Soldier Boy stuff.
Homelander has a son, which I don't think narratively is insane.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's probably all the Soldier Boy stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, because again, to your point, I was about to say the head pop, but that's a shock factor thing, like the Senate hearing, and then or the courtroom, and then heaps of people start dying.
Yeah, like narratively, everything's kind of been pretty on the rails. Like they haven't. Obviously they've taken a lot of deviation. I would say, honestly, a pretty big narrative swing was probably Homelander killing Noir.
Right, but
that was like the last thing that made me go like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because it felt like they were were almost like setting Noir up to be like kind of like where A-Train is this season, where like he was either getting ready to leave like everybody or like flip on the 7, and Homelander just cut him off at the pass, and that was like I was like, whoa,
yeah,
like holy smokes.
And but not that you take it away, but when the new Noir shows up this season, you're like, oh, so we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, like that didn't matter. It ended up not like Noir's death actually didn't matter, because like to your point, like I guess like one of your theories was like it was gonna like they brought Noir back to like freak Homelander out. My theory was that it was going to be Sam was going to be the new Noir.
Yep. I would have taken Sam. I would have taken Soldier Boy himself, and then I would have taken if they put Soldier Boy on ice. When
you were saying earlier about killing this new Noir and replacing him, the thing that crossed my mind was like, what if they shadow drop Soldier Boy into the Noir costume after the new Noir? If the new Noir dies, what if like Vought in conjunction with Grace? Shadow drop Soldier Boy into the Noir outfit.
Right. And then it's just like, then Homelander's like, I murdered you last week? And how are you back? But again, even to go further into my point, I think it's going to play more of like, he's so numb to murder at this point where he's like, new noir actor, we're good. Nobody cares. And this noir shuts up, so everybody's cool. This one doesn't talk like the last one, so I'm cool.
And then it's actually Soulja Boy.
Yep.
That'd be interesting.
You aren't some weak, sniveling... Anyway.
That's the boys.
Buddy, you think you look strong?
He was so good, dude. He was
Greatest cameo in any comic book thing is when he showed up and when he shows up in Gen V.
He was so good on the boys. Like, that was like it's weird. We talked about it when we talked about season 3, but like, he spent so long as Dean Winchester that like I feel like people took him for granted.
Yeah, as
like an actual.
Well, you made a good point where you're like, somebody that had that stint on TV, like that young, you thought at some point was going to make the jump to like, he was going to be one of like, even on your level, like your Chris Evans, where it's like, oh, he's going to start to get like A-list potential out of Jensen Ackles. He's got an A-list name. Jensen Ackles, that's an A-list name.
It's an A-list name.
So it's like, the fact that he's stuck, I love the loyalty too, but he's stuck. He wasn't stuck, but he's stuck with Supernatural all the way through. And then he pops up in something like this, and you're like, again, to your point, that's a great point. It's like, you take him for granted. It's like, oh, you're that guy for Supernatural. And then he shows up and he's just like, you think you look strong? You're wearing a cape.
And you're like, man, he can act.
I was like, wait a second.
Like, he can act.
This is phenomenal. I mean, the fact that he shows up and he's like, oh, yeah, that guy's got to be Batman, right? Like, he's got to... Like,
I mean, he was always my hopeful pick to play Joel.
Yeah. The Sadie Sink, Jensen Ackles is great.
That was the one I wanted. For
Isn't there another one that's really good? It's the Hugh Jackman and who was it? She was in why am I forgetting the actress that should have played Ellie? Not should have, because obviously the two picks that they made were absolutely phenomenal. But there's somebody that went along with Hugh Jackman that I thought would... That's if The Last of Us had came out the same year, because they were talking about it. They wanted the movie in like the mid-2010s to actually happen. And that's when Hugh Jackman's name was circling around there. Like, he made Prisoners.
But yeah, man, I'm still waiting for Jensen Ackles to get like the big break.
Do you think he wants it?
I think he wants Batman, to be honest.
At this point I got 2 picks for Batman that I would be very happy with. It's at this point it's not Alan Ritchson, it's Jake Gyllenhaal or it's Jensen Ackles. I still think Jake Gyllenhaal just turned 40 or something like that.
Yeah,
which I thought he was older, but I also thought he was younger.
It's the Ryan Gosling thing.
Yeah, so
like they've been around for so long.
Right. So I personally think that he would be a phenomenal Batman, and then Jensen Ackles, he's got the voice, man. And obviously he voiced Batman. He voiced Batman already, so...
Yeah, man.
James Gunn's got something cooking up. Every time these little set pieces keep coming in about this movie, they keep coming in over the last, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I keep getting more and more excited for this movie.
Yeah, me too. But that's the boys. We'll probably just revisit this at the end of the season.
Yeah.
But we want to talk about the first 3 just because they were grouped together and they served as a nice little launch point for the rest of the season. So we'll revisit in a few weeks when the season concludes and give our final review and thoughts. So yeah, I mean that's it. That's all we got. House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Quick thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't want to dive too into it because I don't want to step on anything we'll do at the end of the season, but. Just a really strong first episode, man. I don't know what else to say. It felt a lot more Game of Thronesy than last season.
Not only Game of Thronesy, what first episodes of seasons sometimes try to do is they try to acclimate you a bit. There's no acclimation. There's war. That's what I love. There's war, and I care about these characters as well.
Yes.
And it's something, we're going to probably watch The Acolyte in a little bit, but there's something that it's such a simple thing that we always talk about, and it's one thing you think would be so easy for people to understand, but I care about these characters. That's why I'm so invested. Like, the world is cool. Technically, this show, especially this first episode of the second season, like, I'm talking like film, technically, this thing is sound. Like, this thing looks really good. It's shot really well. All those things are, prominent and they matter, but I care about everybody here, whether they be evil, whether they be good, whether they be morally great. I care about everybody at this point. I'm emotionally invested in these characters, and for them to do that in one season where, you know, for some characters in Game of Thrones it took a little bit to get there for some of these characters, I think that's rather impressive. Somebody made a decent point. A season and an episode in, is this better than a season and an episode into Game of Thrones? And House of the Dragon's good.
House of the Dragon's real good. It's just I just think about season 1, episode 9 of Game of Thrones. That Baelor episode with the death of Ned Stark is just like unassailable.
Yeah. But then I can shoot back and like kind of remix that back to you and say episode 8 of House of the Dragon was...
It's right up there.
It's not only will I say this too, and this might beat out Game of Thrones in that sense, it contains one of the best performances from that universe, like obviously outside looking in, but the performance that Paddy Considine puts up in that episode could possibly usurp the whole season as one for that season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I mean that episode 8 of House of the Dragon
is special.
It blows my mind to this day that Paddy Considine didn't get any type of Emmy recognition at all. Not even a nomination.
Yeah.
I was floored because of just the journey that he took Viserys on that whole season.
You would have thought Paddy Considine was dying the way he was acting.
And, you know, it's a testament to that performance that, like, the episode 1 of this show, like, I missed Viserys being around.
And again, you know, now looking inside the box for everything tier 2, they kind of talk about this whole thing that you're talking. We're thinking about an actor, but in universe as well. Like, Viserys is dead. Now look at the world that Viserys is dead. Like, it's almost like his being kept everything, like he's like a rubber band. Like the second he died, that rubber band snapped, and now everything's all over the place.
Yeah, I mean,
we're still talking about the dang stepstones.
And I mean, he in Viserys lamented the fact that he wasn't going to be remembered.
Yeah.
Because how quote unquote like boring his reign was, because there was such a long period of peace besides the dang stepstones. So that he had always lamented that he didn't have that kind of like big claim to fame, and I think it was his I don't know if he was officially handed the king, because I think Otto was his hand the whole time, or it might have been that brief stint when he fired Otto, and I forget the freaking guy's name. I think it was Lionel Strong's. It was Lionel Strong. It was Larry Strong's brother, Lionel Strong, who said to him like, "Your prolonged period of peace is your legacy.
Yeah.
Like you don't." I understand you're a Targaryen, and Targaryens are known as conquerors and these leaders of great wars, but like it's also okay to not be in a great war and just have a prolonged period of peace. Like he was trying to impart that onto Viserys, and you know, unfortunately, Lionel Strong was killed along with Harwin Strong as well. So I don't think it ever really. Viserys probably died thinking he was, you know, a failure of a king. Yeah. When the truth is,
you were the glue that kept Westeros together, for lack of a better term.
So, and episode 1, obviously, the ending of episode 1 is gonna. It's funny how the end of season 1 and the end of episode 1 of season 2 kind of marry each other, with the death of Lucerys and the death of baby Jaharis in episode 1. That's gonna. Now both sides are properly motivated.
Well, and I think you want to talk about, you know, call to actions for, this might be one of the best examples I've ever seen on not a character scale, but an actual, like, the actual plot needs to get kicking. Like, this might be one of the best, get that plot kicking immediately. Because what you can do, too, is think about it like, well, season 1 did that. Well, I mean, like, you know, people are still people, so, like, people are like, why didn't this thing happen in season? You know, there's no excuse now, and there's no question of we're on the run. Like, we're running now. Like, this is the war season that we talked about. It feels, I don't know how this season's gonna play out, obviously, but this feels very Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2, where Dune Part 1 was like, we're gonna get you acclimated. These are the Targaryens in their prime. Everything's cool. Everything's great. The Greens. This isn't good. And then Dune Part 2, just like how I believe House of the Dragon Season 2, and what we've been told is like, no, this is the war. Like, this is the actual war that's happening now.
Yeah. And I think Ryan Condal's even said, like, the Dance of the Dragons is going to go beyond even Season 2. Like, this is going to be like a multi-season conflict, which Game of Thrones has never done. their big battles are there's always the one episode that's the big battle. Like you think the Battle of the Bastards in season 6. You think the Battle of Blackwater Bay in season 2. You had the battle at the Wall in season 5. Like every season kind of has like a big battle, but they've said like, no, we're gonna have like actual multi-scaled conflicts in this with dragons, which is always great.
Right. And you want to talk about performances? Emma Darcy as Rhaenyra might be one of the best TV performances that you can find. And, she does have weight, to your point, to carry, because she now has to kind of step into Patty Constantine's shoes and kind of hold it together and be... Because you're always going to get your Matt Smith in here, which is just like he's kind of the cool, like, mysterious one. It's like a boy band. Yeah. You're the cool, mysterious one. Like,
well, he's aptly named. George R. R. Martin named him the Rogue Prince.
Right.
And that's... exactly Damon's character.
Right. But now, you have to carry this show, and she carries it in this first episode with one line of dialogue, which is phenomenal. Like, everybody kind of speaks for her, but you can't know what she's actually feeling until you're with her. It's so well done. And I mean, her one line is, I want Aemon Targaryen, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was floored by that performance.
Even the scene with her and Jace, I was like, who's cutting onions?
Yeah, and it's crazy that they've done this now twice in 2 seasons. Like, Matt Smith had a similar episode in season 1 when he doesn't speak, right? But his presence.
The Crab King episode.
The Crab Feeder. Yeah, where he doesn't speak a single line of dialogue the whole episode, but his presence carries the performance, and Emma Darcy does something very similar, but in a different way. Yeah. Whereas like Matt Smith's performance in that episode was more like exuding, like, look how
it's commanding.
Yeah, look how powerful he is. Yeah. Like, look how badass he is. Whereas like her performance is more reserved, and it's more like look how powerful she is in spite of her grieving. Right. And Daemon directly confronts her not directly confronts her, but when he's talking to Rhaenys in the beginning of the episode, when she tells him like, can you chill a little bit? Like she's a grieving mother, and he says, while the mother grieves, the queen lies stagnant, or whatever. It was similar. It was something like that. Basically saying like she's a mother, yes, but she's also our queen, and she needs to like get her ish in gear.
Yeah, because he's like, he tells Rhaenys, he's like, she just comes back in from a patrol, and he says, get back on your dragon. We're gonna go kill Vhagar. And she's just like, I'm tired. I'm going to take a nap. I've been flying all day. And he's just like, did you not hear me? Like, that was a command. He said, once you become king, I'll take that command. But for now, I'm gonna go take a nap.
Yeah, I did like. There did seem to be a little bit more sharpness in the dialogue too. That kind of invoked the more Game of Thrones. Like I did enjoy. I mean, we'll save our Aegon talk for a grander episode. Yeah. But he was a real highlight.
Aegon and the boys.
Yeah. All these, I forgot that. It wasn't just Rhaenyra and Alicent that got actor flipped. It was Aemond and Aegon also got actor flipped during the time jump, and I think both the older actors are incredible.
Yeah, they're. It's funny because like on paper you want to say that Aemond's so great because he's so mysterious. We keep joking about it like off here, but we kept joking about it for the last couple days since this episode came out. They're gonna fight. Like, yeah, Aemond and Daemon have a score to settle. Like they are supposed to be the two master swordsmen. Like they will come to blows at some point this season.
Well, for Aemond, it's like the Vader Obi-Wan thing. Right. When I left you, I was but the learner. Now I am the master. Right. like it's that thing.
But Aegon's character's kind of interesting now.
Well, yeah, especially coming off the end of the episode.
Yeah, because you're like, before you were just a bumbling, horrible human being, but now you're just kind of like, what if I just was the king that everybody liked? And then Otto Hightower's like, that's not how that works. And Aegon's like, I don't care.
But now he's been pushed.
Yeah.
Yep. Now he's been pushed to being, to the point about Viserys.
You know what I love about that this episode does? We don't see any sort of reaction from him specifically. I think that's one of the smartest things that show has done. It's such a weird little thing to make the choice because you know what makes that even more interesting? At the end of season 1, as soon as Luke died, the first reaction shot we see is from Rhaenyra, but we don't see how Aegon's going to react to this at all too.
Yeah, and they build that into it with the Targaryen lore of you flip a coin and you either get like a peaceful ruler or a tyrant ruler, and they play on that, but they also play on the fact that Aegon's father, Viserys, was known as this peaceful, king who led with his kindness. Right. And now we've seen Aegon, at least for one episode, attempt to lead in the vein of Viserys, but now we might see it from the other side. Right. So, because
you do, for all intents and purposes, like whatever type of bad person that Aegon was, or not. I mean, he's bad. He did a horrible thing to somebody, but you can get the sense that he really liked his babies. Like especially his son. Like he was where's my son? Like, I let him come in the room. Like, he's gonna be here. Much to Tylen Lannister's dismay.
Yeah, he's gonna be king one day. Like, he needs never too early to start learning.
Right,
and that's also a reflection of his relationship or non-relationship with Viserys. Right. Because Viserys, I said this to somebody off air, like when I was talking, like Viserys really favored Rhaenyra's kids.
Right, 100%. Yep.
Rather than his own actual kids.
Yep. Right.
He didn't really seem to care much for Aemon and Aegon. Like, there's that scene, obviously, when Luke takes Aemon's eye.
Right.
And the only thing Viserys is really hung up on is when Aegon calls Luke and Jake's bastards. Yeah. And he grabs Aegon. He's like, "Where did you hear that from?"
Right.
And he's like, "The Queen." Like, Alicent said it. Like, chill. So
he said, "Dad, my eye. Dad, my eye. Go take a walk."
Yeah, he basically like passes it off as like, "Boys will be boys."
Yep.
And Alicent's like, "No, like your son has just been maimed. Like, I want retribution." He's like, "Chill out."
Yeah. Can everybody relax? Let's go get some food, guys. Let's go to Burger King.
So yeah, I think
Thrones.
Aegon's an interesting character in all this, and I look forward to. I mean, episode 2, we're gonna get his reaction to what happened. So, yeah, super strong start to House of the Dragon season 2, which we will talk about at length upon its conclusion.
Yeah,
that's gonna do it for us this week.
And Kristen Cole is still a hoe.
He still sucks. I still hate that guy. But that's going to do it for us this week. You can follow us on Twitter at ProjectINF_pod. You can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on Instagram
at the Project Infinite Pod.
Next week, who knows? We'll see. Maybe
we might do House of the Dragon season 2.
we might do House of the Dragon season 1 episode 8.
Yeah, we might have to. One specific scene we might do. That is no true Valerian.
The Vaemon Valerian retrospective.
Yeah.
Our first ever character retrospective.
Yes.
And it's him specifically.
Gone for not forgotten. Taken out by that absolute psychopathic murderer, Daemon Targaryen. Jerk. You killed my glorious king, Vaemon Valerian. His house survived the doom. What if the doom wasn't actually 14 volcanoes? What if it was like one, like it was just like a really bad thunderstorm, and that's how they play it off? And like everybody got really sick, but that they lied? That's what I think happened. I think they gassed up the doom a little bit.
Oh. You're a doom truther, huh?
You think everybody rolls their eyes at the doom? Like, my house survived the doom. He's like, oh my god, that was years ago, man.
You weren't even there.
My grandma was there, dude. She said it wasn't even that bad. You guys just suck.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what next week holds. We don't know yet. So for me,
careful, man.
From the Will Ferrell of the podcast.
Yes. No, it's not good in that. It's not good in that way. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Why not?
It's not good because I'm like Sandra Bullock from The Blind Side.
No, not Will Ferrell. Not Will Ferrell, the character he's playing in The Boys.
Oh, actor Will Ferrell.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. The actual Will Ferrell.
Because when I show up, it's like everybody's like, "What?" Best bit from The Boys season so far. It's the Black Noir.
It's thing. Black. Yeah, it's everyone telling Black Noir to shut up.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week for a thing. Goodbye.
Peace.